Most Americans want to believe that the United States is the gold standard of clean food. But that belief may not hold up to scrutiny. From unsanitary practices in mass production to the addition of dangerous chemicals, countries have good reason to give the side eye to imported foods claiming to be USDA approved. That's right, this week we're talking about American foods that have been banned by other countries.
First, let's talk about why these additives are being used in our foods every day. Some of them are to make the foods last longer on the shelves, on the cupboard in your house after you buy them, so that way you don't have to immediately use them or keep rebuying it. Another reason is to make the food look more appetizing to the consumer, so to make it look more like the color that they want it to look like, or that the consumer thinks it's supposed to look like, or to even make it look more appetizing by making it look juicier or making it look fluffier. And not all of these additives are bad, but some of the ones that we still use can be harmful depending on what they are and depending on how much you are consuming. Well, an example of these additives is brominated vegetable oil. One of the main ingredients is bromine, and it is known to cause irritation in the skin, headaches, memory loss, and impaired coordination. And the oil is used in many citrus sodas, including Mountain Dew, which is why if you go to Japan or many European countries, you will not find Mountain Dew on the shelves because they do not allow this chemical to be used in their food. A couple more examples are red dye 40 and yellow dye 5 and 6. These are thought to cause hyperactivity and learning disabilities in children, and these are used in Skittles, everyday food coloring for different foods that we're intaking. Here we have some more examples of some food additives that are causing harm to us as we eat them. But we talked about brominated vegetable oil. It is used to keep synthetic dyes from separating in sports drinks and other popular sodas. Dairy hormones, which are being forced on cows to produce milk faster, but is causing udder infections. Arsenic, which is used in chicken feed to help make chicken meat look pink and more fresh to the consumer. Synthetic food colorings, we've talked about some of those and the effects that's having on children. Then at the bottom we see a new substitute cooking oil, a bleach that is used to bleach flour and foam plastic, and then a new kind of flour, brominated flour, being used to expedite commercial baking and make bread faster and quicker. In Europe, a lot of these additives that are in foods that we've talked about are banned, or if they're not banned, many of them have warning labels on the food, especially for these food dyes. There's a lot of warning labels that state what these additives can do to children and the effects that they have on them. And they do this that way the consumer is aware, and that way they can make an educated decision if they want to give that to a child or not. Another example where an additive is banned in Europe that is not in the United States is titanium dioxide, which is used in the coloring of many foods in the United States. Titanium dioxide is known to be a genotoxic and is extremely dangerous over time to the body and can cause cancerous and carcinogenic effects on the body. And what genotoxic means is it basically damages the DNA in our body and can hurt future generations.
As great as we talk about the invention of sliced bread, a lot of European countries have actually banned much of what you'd find on America's wide grocer shelves. That's because we make a lot of our bread not just with grain, but with a variety snap packs worth of additives, like azodicarbonamide, for example, which helps bleach flour and strengthen dough. Fun fact about azodicarbonamide, it's also used in a spectrum of industrial products, including yoga mats. Downward dogs. The European Union is really against the idea of its citizens eating yoga mat material and has banned their use in food products.
The big differences between the United States' decision on food additives being allowed in food in our country and European is the main difference is that the US has a loophole that where if they were using those certain food additives before 1958 when they started regulating and monitoring the food additives in our food, then they are still allowed to use those. This can be really bad because those food additives might be outdated. We didn't know the long-term effects back in those times, but now we can see the long-term effects. We can see what they're doing to the human body even better than back then. And now there's better options, either not to do it or there's better alternatives that may be a little more expensive, but it's safer for human consumption. Another big difference is that the US reacts more to the additives after they do their harm to the population. But in Europe, they have to actually prove that it's not harmful before they allow it to be in the foods. So I think that the US should adopt this system. It should be more having to prove that it's not going to be harmful to the population rather than, okay, let's add it and then let's see if it does something. We need to take better action and get it before it hurts people in the long term, before it permanently affects them.